You say, okay, I have a lot of money, but you have no money unless you take profits.
When the first ever spot ETF was created for gold 10x.
And the only thing I really knew was Bitcoin at the time, so I just invested very heavily into that. Rode it all the way up.
What's up?
My name is Jeff. Even the creators have said it's going to be the predecessor of CBDC.
What that taught me was that I need to be self-sufficient.
A solid DCA investment strategy, and pretend the red sell button doesn't even exist.
We about to go up like.
And we are live. Welcome everybody to another episode of DGen Roundtable. I will once again be hosting you today on this Wednesday. Your great value technical analyst Jay, joined as always by our handsome panel and a special guest. He is a fellow content creator, specifically within the Hex and Richard Hart ecosystem space. He is actually one of the progenitors of the Hex YouTube space, if you guys didn't know. And he is the founding, he's actually the founder of the Discourse Syndicate, which is, I believe it was the very first YouTube channel discussing Hex and the RH ecosystem as a whole. I would like you all to join me in welcoming the captain, RG3. Thanks for joining us, brother. How are you?
Hey, all right, how you guys doing? Good to see y'all. Good to be here. Good to be DGenning. Like it.
Yes, sir. Hey, RG, before we kind of get into the more serious topics, I've always wondered, where did the nickname the captain come from? Like, was that something from like your military background, or like, can you give us the origin story of that?
Shit, I wish it was my military background, but no, I wasn't an officer or captain. I was a grunt ground pounder, just regular infantry dude in the Marine Corps. But no, when we started Discourse Syndicate, it was kind of the pirate theme was a tribute to my father who passed away. He was an old pirate, freaking, pirate man cave, pirate backyard, and that was his persona and his thing. And so I just kind of picked it up and ran with it. And then as time went on in the Hex community, they started calling me Captain RG3. And so I was the captain of the ship, Discourse Syndicate, and that's kind of how it all came about. So I ended up with just the name the captain. Now they just call me the captain.
Hey, you know what? I would say, this is my personal opinion, but I'm pretty sure a lot of folks would agree with me that if anybody was going to be the captain of the ship, especially since RH has kind of taken a step back from, at least before he was very active in social media, now he's a little bit less. I would say I'd be really comfortable if you were the one at the helm of that ship for sure.
No, I appreciate that. It's been an honor serving this community and being part of it, and getting out in front of it as often as I've been able to. And I don't think there's a better group of people in crypto than the Hexicans, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, since we're on the pirate thing, if Hex had or I guess RH, right, the whole ecosystem had like a Jolly Roger, the flag, what do you think that's going to be, man? Do you have any ideas? You been brainstorming anything like that?
I'm working on something myself, actually. So I've got something in the works that's it's going to be kind of our new logo. So yeah, I'm working on something.
Dude, that is dope, man. I can't wait, because if you're gonna release something on a flag, I'm definitely gonna be one of the first in line as a customer, man.
Right on.
Hey, so we over here are familiar with your work, but for some of our viewers and our members who might not be so familiar, could you please give us just a brief overview into how you discovered RH, how you discovered Hex, and how you stumbled into that ecosystem, and why you fell in love with it, and out of all of the different tokens within the crypto space that you kind of latched onto this one.
Yeah, so I was just your regular. I was a millwright by trade in the working world. I moved heavy equipment machines, and so I did that for 30 plus years. And on the side, I was always having a side hustle, keep mama at home with the kids, and all that kind of stuff. California, hard place to live. So in doing so, I kind of stumbled across the gaming world. I made a gaming platform that supported a game called Counter-Strike. And in that, I ended up in the IRC chat rooms because back in those days, when you gamed, you didn't have all the cool, headsets and comm gear that we have today. It was IRC chat rooms if you wanted to go play a game, and whatnot. So in those same chat rooms was the Bitcoin forums. People were in there and started hearing about Bitcoin, started getting shilled in-game currencies before Bitcoin came out by the likes of people like Brock Pierce and all that. They were selling in-game cryptos at that time for, World of Warcraft and all that. So we didn't think much of it. 2014, somebody asked me for some Bitcoin for some software work that they had done. And we're like, what the hell, that PayPal crypto crap? And so set up a wallet, put some money in it, send it to them. There was a little bit of change in there. I don't know how much it was. I look at the dates and I look at the amounts that went up. So I couldn't really tell you, but somebody asked me for some more in like 2015, end of it or tail end or something. I don't know. And I looked in the wallet and there was like $800 in there versus the $30 that was in there or something like that. And I flipped out and was like, what the hell is this all about? So at that point, I dove in 72 hours of just freaking nonstop white paper, Satoshi, reading the forums, what was going on with these cypherpunks and all this stuff. And I got into crypto, and then I just degened in crypto for, until 2017. And I was discouraged by the space. It wasn't what the cypherpunks and Satoshi's white paper said it was. But along the way, I ran into a lot of these streamers. And one guy that just kind of popped up on the radar was this Richard Hart dude. And he was kind of goofy and had top hat and weird shit, but he said a couple good things. And at the top of the 20K Christmas, he called it and said, hey, it's over. It's done. It's gone. Tomorrow it's crashing. Boom, boom, boom. Bye, guys. See you in 3 years. And I was like, who the hell is this clown? Right. And I was pissed. And he was right, though. The next day, boom, crash. Fucking everything was over with. The bear market was in. The bull was gone. And I was pissed at him. I said, you know what? Screw that guy. I don't want to have anything to do with him. Unfollow him on YouTube and whatnot. And then I came to my senses about a day later and said, wait a minute, that guy called the freaking top, man. And you're going to not listen to what he has to say. So I started looking at his content and looking at all his stuff and said, man, this guy's actually a good dude. I come from the streets of Inglewood in Southern California here. So I had a pretty good judge of character. I can see when somebody was bullshitting and when somebody was kind of like down and telling the truth. So I liked what he was saying. I liked how his approach, and he started talking about building his own crypto. And at that point I said, you know what, if this guy builds a crypto and does what he says, I'm in. He came out with the fluid dynamics saying it went over my head. I didn't want to get involved. Oh, what the hell is this? And then he came out with Bitcoin Hex. When he came out with Bitcoin Hex, I was like, okay, that's something that I understand. I get it. Certificate of deposit, boom, boom, boom. Started watching the Telegram rooms, what was going on. I was like, man, there's some smart guys here in this space, in this Telegram room, and this thing looks like it's good. So I all in on Hex, not a day oneer. I listened to Richard. I waited until the first month of January and DCA'd in January. And it's been all up from there. I decided at that point that I want to get involved with this thing because this thing could be the crypto that changes the world. That's how I saw it, and the people that were involved, I just said, man, all these guys are good. The community is perfect, but it just needs development, needs outreach, it needs exposure. So that's when I built Discourse Syndicate and just hit the button and said, hey, anybody come on in and talk about Hex. I don't care if you want to FUD it, you want to promote it, whatever, come on in. And they came, the community came. And from there, like all the streamers took off from there. They started their own channels, much better streamers than me, much smarter guys than me came in. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted to be that conduit that kind of lit the fire under the community's ass and got them going. And then by default, I just kind of became part of the community, a voice in the community. I was very outspoken and passionate about how I feel about this product and what it can do for working stiffs like me, and that became like kind of my rally call was, hey, let's get this out there so we can go save some people, and screw all these other crypto idiots that are out there degenerating and ripping people off and centralizing shit and wanting more and more, institutional money to come in. And let's get this back to the people. Let's get the real voice out there. Let's build an organic community and screw all that other BS, because now we got a crypto that's behind us. And no matter how bad we fail or how bad we are, Hex is always going to have our back. The other cryptos failed their communities. The communities didn't fail. Those are regular people trying to do good and trying to have a good experience in crypto, but their cryptos failed them. Hex never failed us. So we were able to go out and make mistakes and work and do things, and we're still all here today. And everything this dumb guy said was correct. And the whole rest of the smart freaking crypto world was wrong. So that has given me hope. That's given me inspiration. That's given me conviction to go out and continue to do what I'm doing. So that's why I'm here, and that's how I got here.
You know, it's people like you that basically attracts me to this community. And the one thing that I've noticed over and over and over with the Hexagon community, right? Pulse Chain community now, just sort of two different factions there. But the thing that I've noticed is that no matter what happens, we as Hexicans, Pulsicans come together and always build our own stuff whenever anybody tells us, no, we can't do that, right? And it's the exact same idea that you've got, right? Hey, let me go do my part. I believe in this project, and so I'm going to go do my part, however big or small that might be, to make this even better. And that's the thing that I absolutely adore about this community. The thing that really brought me, like, I'm not only Hex, right? But I am majority Hex because of this.
Nice. Those are stories I like to hear. Kind of the community development I like to hear. Let me correct something real quick. I want to talk about the ancient streamers. So the first Hex streamer was Serena Alonzi. And if you haven't looked at her channel, go look at her. She created content before anybody created content. Serena did. And then of course it was Hexologist. And Hexologist is my buddy. You know, I mean, we're both Marines. We're good friends. He started Discord Syndicate with me, saw that we were a little too degen for him and said, hey, man, I'm going to go back to my channel. I'm glad you guys got this thing started. Now have at it, boys. And Hexo let us, do our own thing. And, and he still supports us, of course, and everything. But he went and did his thing. And of course, his show is just phenomenal. He's like the OG of OG Hexagon streamers, and there is no one better. But Hexo started this with me, Crypto Coffee, Dollar Cost Crypto, the three of us. And then, of course, Kinetics came on as my partner, and he's my right-hand man now. And we just, built all the things on Hex that we've built together as far as our businesses go.
You know, one of the things that you mentioned earlier, right, about all of the different scammers within this space, and how the reason why you kind of attach yourself to the Hex community is because Richard Hart was a type of person who was doing the complete opposite, right? You mentioned earlier that you were from Inglewood and that you're a pretty damn good judge of character. I think, for me, this is a personal opinion, but I think folks will agree with me in that when you see Richard Hart and you see the way he speaks, right? And if you're somebody who like you grew up in a place like Inglewood, you're a pretty good judge of character. You can tell exactly when somebody is lying to you, and you can tell when somebody is being truthful to you, right? You know, one of the things that I really like about Richard Hart is that he doesn't present himself as somebody who's like 100% completely altruistic, right? Like some person who's making headlines in the news right now. He was very upfront about his mission to look. I'm in this to do some good in the world, right? Obviously, that's why he wrote Sci-Vive. That's why he raised millions of dollars for longevity research. But he's also very upfront about the fact that he's in it because, one, he wants to be loved, right? He wants to be a legacy. Yeah. And as somebody who's seeing that upfront, I'm like, all right, this guy is obviously here for the community, but he's also here for himself, and he's not lying about it, right? He's being honest upfront about it. And it's really easy to get behind a person like that because you know that they're not full of shit.
Yeah. See, that's the one thing that was the catalyst right there. Like, there's a lot of people out there talking about how they're going to help you out, how they're going to do something for you, how they're going to show you how to do something, how, this and that. Richard was always a guy that's like, hey man, I'm doing this, and I'm doing it because I'm an entrepreneur, because I'm expecting things from my own work. Now, if you want to listen to me, I'm going to teach you how to capitalize on the things that I'm going to bring, and on things that I've learned, and on things that I'm going to tell you and teach you. And if you can go all the way back to old Richard streams, and you can go all the way back to old Discord Syndicate streams, and you can see how we as a community uncovered all the things that Richard said. We speculated on the things that Richard said, and what Hex was, and the T-shares and inflation of Hex and all that, and how it was all going to work. And when you come back to today, you can see that we were right. And Richard was right. And we listened to him and we did the things that Richard said to do. And because of that, we're all in a better place. And because of that, we are the people that are the true DeFi community in crypto now. And nobody can argue that we aren't the strongest community, the most outspoken the community that has absolutely done the most for its crypto in this space. And nobody can argue that. And because of that, I think this next bull run is going to catapult this community into infamy. I mean, we're going to be the ones that were right. We were going to be the ones that had DeFi by the tail. And I'm really excited about that. And it's all written in the history books. Like, you can go back and look at Richard's streams and look at our old streams and see history, how it was being made and how we all uncovered and discovered and explained to everybody what Hex was and what Richard was doing. And, that's why I'm sitting here convicted, man, because I know we won. We won. It's just the rest of the crypto world has to catch up. First, they have to pick themselves up off of their asses, dust themselves off, and either come with us or get left behind and go sit in that centralized exchange world that is going to exist. There's going to be a centralized crypto and there's going to be a decentralized crypto. And we have decentralized crypto by the tail, guys.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I love the way you put that. That's a lot of fun. See, that's the world that we're heading towards right now, is centralized crypto. And it really does suck. But when you're looking at something like Ethereum, right, it's becoming kind of the baby of the institutions right now, where they're just starting to build all their own stuff on it, right? Even Bitcoin by nature is decentralized. Well, what do you do about something that's decentralized? You cage it in and not allow it to move. So it still has the freedom to move however it wants, as long as it's within this caged area, right? And that's kind of the example I've been using as far as what they've been doing to Bitcoin. So it's like, what are we going to do after that? Well, there's this other thing called Hex. Hey, people, you might want to go check out this pulse chain stuff, you know? And the interesting thing is that what I've been noticing as a trend, again with the building, right? I've been noticing as a trend, you get all these centralized institutions that are like, okay, we're going to take over all these different aspects of what used to be centralized or decentralized, right? You know, I mean, you're looking at Uniswap right now, and MetaMask is one of them. Okay, boy, we're going to get into that, right? But you know what? So what is it that Pulsicans and Hexicans do? I don't know. Maybe make our internet wallet. I don't know. We got Pulse X. You know, it's kind of like it works better. It works better.
We've got it, and it works better. And real community members are doing it, and that's what was supposed to happen in crypto. You know, it wasn't supposed to be, oh wait, the Celsius Foundation is going to put some money into this, or XRP, the Ripple company is going to buy $261 million worth of another company to try and bring you a product. And we've got Hexicans doing it for free, doing it better, doing it on the Pulse chain, doing it decentralized and giving it to you. Maybe they'll have a token launch or something, you know, and you don't have to participate in that stuff. That's all optional. You know, if you want to degen and play with their coins or whatever, that's all optional. They're giving the tools to us right now. More things are being built on Pulse chain than have ever been given to us, or let's just say promised to us by the rest of the crypto space. Hexicans are doing it and doing it now and doing it better than any of them. I mean, just look at the NFT space alone and what the Tang Gang is doing. Those guys are crushing it. They are crushing it. And I'm so proud of them. And, you know, and I'm not promoting any of the things that they're shilling or whatever like that. But I'm just telling you, as a community, as an organized community, they're out there and they're doing it the right way. They're going and helping projects on board, NFT projects on board. They're not charging them. They're helping them out. They're giving exposure. They're doing exactly what a community is supposed to be. And that's what crypto was supposed to be. Richard gave us the tools and the community knew what to do about it. And they're doing it without Richard. Richard's not guiding anybody right now. He is not telling anybody what to do right now, but it's happening because he gave us the tools, man. The tools are here. And it's proof that all you needed was the right tools and the community would conflagrate and just do all of the things that crypto was supposed to have done. We've never had this before, guys. We've never had truly decentralized L1. We've never had a truly decentralized DEX. We've never had a truly decentralized crypto that works better than Bitcoin. Let me say it again. Better than Bitcoin. Hex is better than Bitcoin. It brings yield that everybody wants, decentralizes it, your self-custody of it. I mean, we don't need anything else. We got it. We don't need them. That's why I'm in their faces all the time, because they freaking lost. They came at us hard, and that's where they made their mistake. They annealed us. They forged us in that fire. They forged Richard in that fire. Richard destroyed every single one of them on stream over the last few years. We watched it. That wasn't any of them that were able to hold a candle to him. Not even little freaking Eric Wall was able to hold a candle to what we've got going on here. And now look, we're still standing. The smoke is clearing. They're all laid out bloody in the streets, and we're looking like rock stars because we have DeFi by the freaking tail and they don't. So look, we are on the right side of history, and now all we need is a bull run to actually push this thing out to everybody, so everybody will pay attention.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I would like to add on to that too. So you're talking about like how the community comes together, right? So I was just watching a crypto sloth stream with I can't remember who created Time, the internet money. KG. Thank you. Yep. So he was talking with KG, and KG's just talking about, you know, his wallet and everything. And crypto sloth is like, you know, the guys over at Tetra, they created this thing that does this and do that, right? And then you could add that into your wallet. And KG's like, oh, wow, that's a perfect idea. You know, and that was just yesterday. And here's the thing, you're talking about coming together, right? Tracker and I are actually putting together an entire thing about how you can use liquid loans and Power City to quite literally just make yourself a money printer. And I myself have literally, I just sent it to you guys in the private chat, or in our production chat, sorry, about how I've actually taken several of these protocols that are coming out right now, and you can create your own decentralized, financially free banking system for yourself by using all of these different protocols and how to use them. And so it's just absolutely crazy with all the stuff that's happening right now. And here's the crazy thing, right? They haven't come out yet. So for anybody who's going to sit there and be like, well, Pulse is down, none of the projects have come out yet. Like, what do we got? We got Fame, Fux, PulseX. Okay, what about the laundry list of other really important ones coming out right now, like in the next several months? Man, it's going to rocket. It is going to skyrocket.
Yeah, because there's value being built into the ecosystem right now. It's real value. It's not promises. It's not scams. It's not hourglass games. It's real DeFi protocols are being built and launched by community members. And they're giving the people what they want. They're giving the people what they need and deserve. It's fine. It's like finally fertile soil for all these people that have been in crypto all these years to finally build on. You know, Web3, guys, Web3 is going to be possible because now there's a blockchain that can support it. When I was traveling Europe, I went to Italy, I went to London, I went to France, I went to all these places. I went to some Web3 events. And Web3 is ready. Like, these people are ready to launch their protocols. But the common theme was, this L1 failed us. This L1 sucks. This L1's never up. We had to pay this L1 this much. We had to pay this L1 that much. We had to pay this one, and we got ripped off. That's all I heard. And at the time, I was only able to give them a promise of that there's going to be something better coming. You know, and of course that fell on deaf ears because they've been run through the ringer, and these people have been screwed by every L1 out there. So of course, some freaking crazy guy with a bandana comes out to Europe from US and says, "Hey man, there's going to be a better L1 that you're going to have a decentralized platform that you're going to be able to do transactions for cheap, and it's going to support your projects that you guys want to put on there." You know, I was telling them that, and they looked at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears and shit, you know, and I was like, well, look, just wait. When it comes out, you'll see. And now here it is. And they're all beat the hell up. They're all done. They're all, you know, what are we going to do? And they're trying this thing and that thing still. When these Web3 projects finally discover that there is an L1 that will support Web3, it's going to be a freaking heyday. It's going to be a freaking storm. It's going to be, Pulse Chain is going to rock it, man. They're going to love it. And what does that mean? Well, that means that the best crypto in the world is going to get attention too, which is Hex. And people are going to want to put their hands into that because of the APY, because of the yield it generates, because it does it trustlessly, it does it immutably, it does it, you know, without a middleman. And, it's going to bring attention to all of it. Once the world starts to see, once we have a couple of projects domino and fall down and come into Pulse Chain that were kind of like mainstream outside of the Hex community, it's going to start to take on steam. And of course, that's all going to happen when this bull run hits. It's going to be glorious, man. It really is going to be glorious.
Speaking of glorious, you, SJ, Black Hexagon, you guys are doing something awesome right now. You guys are rolling around the country, and you guys are bringing the word to the people. So in the meetups that you guys have had, can you talk a little bit about, who's coming out there? What is the average person? What's their story looking like? Are they blue collar workers? Or are they white collar workers in finance? What is the average person looking like that's coming out to these meetups that you guys are having?
Nobody's showing up. No, it's lackluster, and it's part of what's going on in this space right now. It really has to do with this bear market. In the bull market, and all you guys can attest to this. In the bull market, your phone doesn't stop ringing. Hex is at 54 cents, and every one of your friends, family members, next door neighbors, buddies at work, they all want in. They all want in when that shit is moaning, man. They want in, they want in, they want in. Your phone won't stop ringing. You're busy like crazy. But when it drops, when it's a freaking penny or under, your phone stops ringing. You start hearing that crypto thing's dead. Oh, how's that Hex doing? Oh, and they sit back and they're thinking to themselves, whoa, boy, glad I didn't get in with them, and that's just a phenomenon of this space. It just happens. And that's what's going on with the Pulse Chain Tour. The Pulse Chain Tour, when the bull run was going, Patrick and Abit, Hexagon, those guys, the Europeans, were running around the country and they were blowing out the rooms, man. They were 100, 200, 300 people were showing up. Onboards were coming in. Hex was 30, 40, 50 cents. It was just boom, boom, boom. Everybody was coming in. Everybody's excited. Everyone wanting to get in. And now it's like people are afraid, man. They're afraid to tell the people the truth. And the truth is, what we learned a long time ago was that crypto does 80 to 90% dips, and you got to be able to stomach that. You got to be able to live through it. You've got to be able to go into it properly. Nobody can time the tops or the bottoms. I'm sorry. It's just hardly done. Richard is one of those rare people that does it. There's a handful of people out there that have done it. And sometimes those people are the ones that make the market, if they're calling the market. So I don't know how that goes, but it's hard to call the tops and bottoms. So what do? You pick a strategy, you DCA in, you DCA out. You got to watch the market. You've got to be part of the market. For instance, in the movie we just made, The Highest of Stakes, we can talk about that too if you guys want. We brought in my buddy. They asked us, the movie crew asked me, hey man, can you show us bring us a rookie, bring us somebody that wants to get in. I said, well, hey, I happen to have a guy that's literally ready to get in tomorrow. I've been calling him, telling him about this, and he's been watching it go from 10 cents all the way to 40, 50 cents, and he wants in. So if you guys want to talk to him, he's going to do it tomorrow. So they flew out to his house and set up their gear, and he hit the button and aped in like a couple 100,000. I didn't know he was going to put it all in like that, but he did it right there, on for the movie, and of course, soon after that, Hex, topped and started coming down. And so what does somebody who's in this space, who understands this space, do in that position? Do I just block my friend's number and hopefully he doesn't call me and get pissed off and his wife is freaking mad? And of course she is, like all wives and girlfriends and all that are pissed off when we see our cryptos go down, when we're all excited about when it's going up. But I did the right thing. And I said, bro, you've got to change your cost basis. And the way you do this now is on its way down. It's going to go down. It's going to go down far. I don't know how far, bro. 70, 80, 90%, it can do that. So start DCAing in if that's what you want. If you want to change your cost basis, that's how you do it. And that's what he did. He DCA'd all the way down in. He sacrificed for Pulse, sacrificed for Pulse X. And he stuck with the game. And yeah, he's got a big bag at the, the 40, 50 cent mark, but he's got an even bigger bag on its way down. And he changed his cost basis by doing so. So that's how we should be teaching people that want to invest. what they're supposed to be doing, not be afraid and stay away when it goes down. That's the time to buy. And that's the time to teach these people, this is how you do crypto. And there is going to be a season. There's going to be a bull market. It's going to come. It always has. You know, you look at the Bitcoin chart, you look at the Hex chart, we're up. The Hex chart's up from where I got in. It's up. No matter what, if it's down 90% from the top, it's still up, man. It was 4 or 5 zeros and a 5 and a 6. And it was low when we got in, when we all dollar costed in. So now it's just time for the next cycle to come. So those people who did the right thing and didn't just run away scared or sell. And I've got a couple buddies that call me all the time. I got to sell this shit, man. I got to save at least a few grand, you know? No, I ain't teaching you how to get it out. I ain't teaching you how to move it. You're going to sit on it and I'm going to let you freaking ride this thing back up again. Like, and then you'll be happy with me. Right now, you're pissed. Right now, you don't like what's going on. Right now, you think you got hosed. You didn't. You're in a good asset. You're in the best asset in all of crypto. And I'm not going to let you screw yourself out of it by running when it drops, because that's what they want. They want you to get out when it dips, because that's where this institutional money is screwing all you guys. Instead of having some organic growth with new crypto people coming in and making the price go up naturally, we've got institutional money coming and going. And that institutional money in the first bull run in 17 brought in close to $1 trillion. And then they manipulated it again in 21 and brought in about $3 trillion with the market cap, right? And now here we are getting ready to go back into this thing. And BlackRock and the JPs and the freaking, what are the other 3 or 4 of them that are talking about sending this son of a bitch from 7 to 10 trillion this next run. And guess what, guys? I got some news for everybody. I'm calling the bottom and the top, and the bull run is starting, because here's what I'm seeing. I'm just gonna look down at my phone real quick, because I monitor some of the Bitcoin moves, just big wallet moves. Now this doesn't have empirical data as far as what's really going on, but this is stuff that hasn't been happening for the last few months. I've been watching Bitcoin move here and there, some Ethereum move here and there, but just today alone, over the last few weeks, we've seen a lot of action. I see let's start at the bottom. So 76, this is today, 76 million USD in Bitcoin moved from Coinbase to a wallet. 51.29 million moved from Bitstamp to an unknown wallet. 73.5 million to a Coinbase wallet. And then a little later, at about noon today, we had 261 million USD moved from an unknown wallet to an unknown wallet. Now, I can't give you exacts on what that is, but that's telling me some action is going on. Who moves $261 million? I'm sorry. It ain't some dude sitting in his basement eating Hot Pockets, playing video games, you know, at mom's house. This is institutional money moving around. These are big Bitcoin wallets moving shit around. They're prepping, they're preparing, they're posturing and positioning, and the bear is in, the bottom is in. This stuff is moving for a reason. That's how they're going to get that freaking $10 trillion into this market, is by all those OTC behind the freaking wall deals. And we can see it on chain. We can see it happening. So for those of you smart dudes that are smarter than me, go do the freaking on-chain data and figure out the details. I'm too ADHD and too old to give up. I don't know if we can cuss on here about that stuff, but I know it's happening. I know it's moving. And that tells me hit and a half for everybody's ass. Get ready, because it's starting.
Yeah, and here's the thing about that. So I saw that actually, by the way, and I was like, wow, this is an awful lot of Bitcoin moving around. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And so here's the other thing about that. So the institutions, the financial advisors for them have been considering that more than likely sometime in either this month or the next month, the SEC will actually approve the ETFs, the spot ETFs. And so that might have something to do with it. There's also, it's looking like they're most likely going to be pausing the rates again come in November. That's going to be early November, right? And so now if you start kind of like putting all these things together, right, it's a little bit like a perfect storm, which, I mean, we've been talking about quite a bit here about all these things kind of coming together. And what I personally think, right, is that basically these institutions are holding Bitcoin down. And obviously, if Bitcoin rises, everything else is going to rise. That includes Pulse Chain and all that, right? So I think they're holding it down. And Bitcoin right now has a lot of kinetic energy that just wants to be released and just shoot up, right? And so as soon as they actually release that valve, it's going to skyrocket and it's going to go fast. And you can imagine what Hex and everything's going to do then, right? Because, oh my God. So this is what I'm seeing, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
I think you're right. I think we're onto something here because you know, we know when the bottom comes in, and so let's talk a little bit about the politics of the setup here. So Gensler's been sitting in the background, you know, fudding the crap out of everything, sending, you know, he sent me 4 subpoenas to appear before the SEC. He sent Richard subpoenas. He's busted everybody that he can bust. They brought all the FUD and brought it down. And now all of a sudden, just a few months ago, after the FTX debacle, after all the dust is cleared, after all the subpoenas have gone out, after they've gone after absolutely everybody they can go after, now the institutions go, hey, we want spot Bitcoin. We want ETFs. What do you say, Gensler? Oh, well, I don't have anything to say about that yet, but let's put that on hold for now. And now the information is starting to trickle out that these guys might actually get this. So it's no coincidence that all these things are culminating like they're culminating. Just like all the other bull runs before, there was always this political, regulatory freaking pushing down of the price as far as they can get it. Because remember, these institutions take money at the top and they take money at the bottom. And the poor plebs sell at the bottom to them and, you know, get out at the top because they all bought the top. They all bought, you know, like I said, our phone starts ringing when Hex hit 40 cents or Bitcoin was at 40,000 and they bought it all the way into 65. And what did they do? The institution said, well, we're out of here. And they took the money out. And so now after they've got their percentage on the top, they got all the plebs out on the bottom. Now they're moving shit. Now they're OTC trading. And guess what else is the one factor that a lot of people aren't talking about? What is next year? Next year is an election year. And every time there's an election year, they shut the hell up about crypto. Nobody wants to touch that hot button. My guess is that either Gensler's going to fold, he's going to get retired and run off to a nice job at BlackRock. And then some other guy's going to get in that's not going to say or do anything. And it's going to be, okay, have at it, boys. And nobody's going to talk about it next year. Nobody's going to touch crypto next year. Everybody's worried about, oh, this regulatory is coming. They're going to shut down crypto. They're going to shut DeFi. They're going after the centralized exchanges. It's going to be the CBDC only. No, that's not what's happening. What's happening is they've positioned and postured and positioned themselves for this next coming influx of cash that they're going to bring. Now, I am not the one cheering that shit on. I am not cheering on these people coming in this space. I'm going to make a freaking crap ton of money because of it, because they're going to bring it in and they're going to pump my bags too. And thank you. But you know what? I'm not cheering that shit on like those guys are. The Bitcoin maxis are cheering this shit on with thunderous applause. Bring it. Bring me that institutional money. Bring me centralization. Give it to me. Give me regulation. Let us be a centralized, freaking regulated crypto currency community. That's what they want over there in the Bitcoin. They're cheering it on. Now, I'm not cheering it on. I don't want them here. I don't need them here. I know what we've got. We've got organic, natural freaking DeFi here that we can grow with. And it may take a long time, but if they're going to help us out and pump it up, so be it. But just remember those 90% dips. Just remember what they're going to drop it down to. Remember that they're going to pull the rug on people. Don't get too excited about it. We're not there yet. We haven't built this thing right yet. And they're going to play with it like a plaything. But there's opportunity for everybody when they do that.
How did you feel about the Pulse Chain launch? Did you feel it was released at the right time? How did you personally feel about it?
Well, I mean, you know, I was as anxious as everybody else. You know, I put a lot of capital into you know, the Pulse Chain launch, and rightfully so, because I knew it was going to be a winner. I knew that Richard was going to do it right. I knew that he wasn't going to let something fail. He wasn't going to go into the face of everybody and not bring the best decentralized L1 that he possibly could, because that's the kind of guy he is. And it's proven itself to be flawless operation since its launch. Price action isn't where everybody wants it, but I don't care about price action. I care about functionality. I care about what it's doing, because it's already beating the shit out of everything else out there. His DEX, same thing. Was I happy about it coming out a little early before it was all feature rich and everything? I might have been a little bit, oh man, could have made this a little better. But you know what? With the rollouts, with the new shiny objects, they're coming out regularly. They're doing the right thing, man. They're doing the right thing. It's all that we need in the bear market. It's going to be more than what we need in the bull market, and we're going to get more and more features to it. So yeah, Pulse Chain is doing great. Pulse X is doing great. Price action, has absolutely nothing to do with validating its functionality. Nothing in this bear market, because everything's down. All the stuff that claims to be good, claims to give you all those promises, eat all of it. It's none of it's better. We're already showing metrics that we're doing better in transactions and volume and projects being built and decentralized functionality being put into Pulse Chain. So we've got a better L1 already, and that's just going to prove itself. And just remember what all the other L1s did. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to see thousands of X's, but I think the worst one did like an 800X, 900X, the worst L1 out there. So what is Pulse Chain going to do in a bull market with the functionality that it has? I mean, come on, let's be real about this. I'm not talking moon boy shit. I'm not trying to hype everybody up. I'm talking fucking reality right now. Sorry guys, but I'm talking reality. Reality is it's going to be, can I cuss?
Absolutely.
Oh,
we are
okay.
pro First Amendment
Thank
here.
you.
Whatever
I'm
you
trying
want.
to hold it in. I know there's kids watching or whatever, DJing guys here might have a bunch of kids around, but anyway, I'm not hyping it. I'm passionate about this and convicted about this because I've been here since day one. I watched why Richard bought Pulse Chain out. Remember, people, Richard didn't make Pulse Chain to beat Ethereum. He made Pulse Chain to make Hex better. He made Pulse Chain to make Hex fucking better. So guess what? Hex is going to be better now. And look what we did, 10,000X. And it's better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin did 6 million X. What do you think Hex can possibly do? Richard said it. You guys don't understand how high the price of Hex can go. Let me say it again. Richard, I'm quoting him. You guys don't understand how high the price of Hex can go. He never said that about Pulse or Pulse X. He said that about Hex. And then he made Hex better. Guys, it's a hint and a half for your ass. What is going to be the blue chip crypto of all cryptos? And that's Hex.
If you guys can't hear the amount of passion and love that this man has for this ecosystem as a whole, I think you need to kind of run it back and listen to the last 20 minutes of the show. One of my favorite things that you said it in one of your interviews a few shows ago. You said that and this was in the context of promoting Hex and promoting the RH ecosystem. You said something along the lines of, if I have to start in rooms, then I'll start in rooms, and then eventually it'll move on to stadiums, right? Yeah. And I think that is so valuable, because one of the things that folks don't realize is that in order for a community and for a token to achieve success, you have to have people who stay in even during those times when everybody else is checking out. And the last time that I checked, the only community, right, or at the very least one of the few communities that are still active and building day in and day out, going on something like the Pulse Chain Tour, making videos on a consistent basis, even when everybody else is tired and checked out and fearful of the market, that's the Hex community, man. And I think that's precisely the reason why this system and why this suite of products that Richard has created is going to be a success. Because when everybody else is outside and is scared, those guys like you, like Coffee, like Dollar Cost Crypto, they are building every single day, and they are talking about exactly the things that we are speaking about here. You and Nate brought something up that was, I think it might have gone over people's head, but I really want to drive this point home. This cycle is going to be the cycle where all of these big institutions are going to come in, and the thing that a lot of OGs are scared about how Bitcoin and crypto is going to become more centralized, that is going to happen, right? It's just part and parcel of these big asset managers coming into the space, right? It's going to happen. But what you guys said is that for every single entity that is becoming more centralized, Uniswap, MetaMask, the staking protocol, there was news recently about exactly the amount of staking on Ethereum that's going on Coinbase right now, despite the fact that they're charging like 25% fees to stake, right? But what's happening? You have this parallel ecosystem, right? And Pulse Chain, and every single person and member that's building on that platform, they are creating something that is the decentralized equivalent of something that you're going to have over on the other side that's extremely centralized, right? And I think people need to understand that, because once this bull market hits and all of these centralized entities are collapsing left and right or rugging you, you have something that is true to the spirit of what crypto was supposed to be, right? And that is decentralization.
Yeah. And the thing is look, FTX should have taught everybody a lesson. They can't keep their hands out of the cookie jar. Look, this is a market space that is new and fresh and easily manipulated, and they know it. They know it. And it's got very little regulation, and the regulators have very dull teeth when it comes to penalizing the bad behavior in the space. So they know what they can do with this. They know that they can come in and manipulate it and make it do their will, and they're going to. And we as a community of decentralized, of DeFi pirates, need to understand that we don't play in that world. We don't exist in that world. Is that world going to bring us capital? Is it going to bring us value? Is it going to bring us volume? Is it going to bring us liquidity? Yes, it is. But be very wary of it, because they have control of it, and they are going to pull the rug eventually, because that's what they do every time. And we've just got to position ourselves and be smart about it and understand, this is not this is a time to be DCAing into the crypto that you want to be in, but it is not the time to start playing games and start over leveraging yourself, especially when the euphoria hits. When the euphoria hits, that's when everybody goes, you know what? I'm going to leverage this much of it, and I'm going to take this to the moon. A lot of people got caught with their pants down in this last bull run because they thought we were going to 100K Bitcoin, because they thought we were going to $1 Hex, and it hurt people, and it soured people, and it created rifts in the community, and it created sour grapes, and we lost a lot of streamers, and we lost a lot of community members, and I warn people of this stuff, be smart about this. Play the long game. Stay away from the shiny objects. DCA yourself in, and now is the time to do so. And then when the time comes, when we are moving up, come up with a strategy that fits your narrative, that fits your life, that fits your age and your risk profile to DCA out or back in. And that's what everybody needs to learn in this space is this space moves like it does. You can look at every single happening. And by the way, the happening is an added feature. It's not Satoshi's feature. This is something they put in to pump it every 4 years. And that's what they're doing. You can look at that chart. Look at that chart of all of the happenings that have happened. The chart is identical. We are in that bottom phase of the end of that chart, ready to move into the next happening, into the next bull market. Everything's aligned. And it's all written for you in stone, showing you what it's going to do. Now, we don't know the percentages of moves, so you have to be very careful with that. But play the game, be part of it, and just realize that you shouldn't be over leveraging yourself. You shouldn't be putting your rent money in. You shouldn't be putting mama's grocery money in. You shouldn't be putting that money in that you have for your kids' college or whatever. This is money that you have that's expendable. And hey, if you don't get it this time, wait for the next bear to come, get yourself in, watch the bull run out, take a little profits, and have it ready for the next bear market. That way you will survive another cycle and then get yourself back in the next cycle. That's how people should be thinking about this thing, man. Not, this degen trading, this day trading stuff. They're just wrecking people, man. And we got to stop people from doing that. Richard built these products to save people from that stuff. And you can do that if you play it smart.
You're talking about
No, Will, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're talking about
making sure you're watching these cycles and catching these cycles. RG3, do you have any insight for people who this is their first cycle in crypto? What are some things that they need to look out for? Because right now we're at the bottom, as you were saying before. We are nearing the bottom of the bear. What are some things that people need to look for in the bull cycle to start exiting some of their positions and start their DCA out, so that way they can capture some of this wealth that's been generated?
See, that's a hard one. If you're in your first cycle, man, it's hodl time for you. You know, you just got to get in and hodl, and maybe take a small percentage out when it's you know, gone beyond, you know, 2, 3, 4 times your average in. You know, you gotta, and hold some dry powder, and don't waste it on anything, and put it in your blue chips when they're down. You know, when Hex pumps and then drops another 80%. You know, find out what that spot is, that safe spot. You know, maybe it's 70%, maybe it's 70% up above the you know, the all-time highs, or 60% above the all-time highs. You take a little tiny percentage out and hold it as dry powder, and then, you know, you put it back in when it's, you know, 70-80% down, or 60-70% down. You know, you gotta, for yourself, you just got to figure out what your risk tolerance is. If this is your first, you know, rodeo, if this is your first circus, you know, just be careful of the monkeys, because they're coming again. It's not going to change. Crypto is not going to change anytime soon. We've got a long time before this thing actually matures and stops doing these moves, but we can see it. We can see Bitcoin leveling off and starting to smooth itself out. Hex is definitely not there yet. You know, it's not there yet, and it's going to be a while before it does. But it is the place for you to make the most gains. You're not going to make those kind of gains on Bitcoin anymore. Nobody's going to make, you know, 20, 30, 50, 100x gains in Bitcoin. It's just not going to happen for you. And it's not going to, for those of you who are new guys coming in that aren't, you know, aren't real capital rich or whatever, you're DCAing a few bucks, you know, every week or whatever, you know, you're better in a blue chip asset that's really down, that has a lot of upside potential. Like I said, like Hex. Hex is better than Bitcoin. So what makes anybody think that it's not going to do another 10,000, 30,000, 100,000 X if Bitcoin did 6 million X?
Hey, Cap, I want to be respectful of your time. So there's one last question that I wanted to ask you here. I've been seeing this theory thrown around within the Hex and Pulse chain space. And the theory is that one of the reasons why Richard has taken he's taken a leave of absence to a degree, right, is because he's pulling a Satoshi, basically, right? I think one of the reasons why Bitcoin is fairly immune to attacks from the SEC is because Gary Gensler cannot point at something and says, hey, man, this guy owns this coin. He has a company at this location. And so we're going to go after that, right? Richard right now, because he's taken a step back from the community, what you're seeing is every single, like you guys were mentioning earlier, right? Every single member in this community is building something that is the equivalent of a protocol that exists in the centralized space, right? There are Liquid Loans coming out with their stable coin, coming out with a platform where you could use leverage, right? Fiat, 9-inch, coming out with exchanges where people can play around. Internet money that's coming out with their own wallet, right? And so I think, to a degree, I agree with this, because if enough time passes where now this you can point at this system and say, look, man, Richard might have been the founder of Hex and of Pulse Chain, but the community is the one running this system. It's not just one person, right? It's the community building all of these different protocols. So you can't go after us anymore. Can you give us your thoughts on that theory?
Yeah. So I don't want to claim to understand the mind of Richard Hart, because one of the things, even though he's a great founder, a great developer, or a guy that can put teams together and knows how to lead development teams to build good crypto products. The one thing that Richard is the best at that I've learned is when I was a kid, I had a savant friend who played this game called StarCraft. And it would, at that time, when I was a kid, it was all dice and tactical movements on paper. And it was a very complicated 4D chess game in space is what it was. And my friend was just brilliant, and he was really good at it. And, you know, just like Richard, he went to all special schools and stuff. He was the nerd kid in the neighborhood, but he was really cool guy. So he became a friend of mine. And he really impressed me with his brilliance, his knowledge, and the tactician that he turned out to be. Richard Hart also, when he talked about stop video gaming, that was one of the video games that he became like a master of, and mastered it like 5 times over what my friend had done. And I knew my friend to be just a master tactician. And if Richard was a master of that game and addicted to that game, tells me of the type of mind he has. And everything that I've seen about Richard, all the brilliance and all the things that he has done and all the things that he understands, Richard, I know in his mind is a master tactician. And everything that he's played so far in this crypto space he has out chess matched the whole freaking game. Like, they've all lost in spite of the community he has, not the community he wants, but the community he deserves, you know, not the founder you want, but the founder you deserve, with all of the outraged marketing and the quirkiness of who he is and what he's done, his arrogance at times and all that stuff that he pulled. Even with all that stuff, he still beat them all. He beat every single one of them, hands down. They lost. And now he's going up against some even, you know, some more important tacticians, but I think flawed tacticians. I think that the SEC's complaint against him doesn't hold any merit. And we as a community know, you know, that he has receipts for all this stuff. It's on-chain data. Like, we've all seen it. They say he misappropriated funds. So I think that Richard is sitting back, getting ready to, you know, move his queen into checkmate right now. I think that's what he's doing. I think that he has played this thing very masterfully. And as this storm becomes perfect and plays out into his favor, he's going to move the chess pieces where they need to be. And him being silent. Look, we gain nothing right now from Richard coming out and speaking in the bear market. Nothing. The people that are producing on Pulse Chain are producing without Richard. They don't need him. They've got access to the devs that have, you know, put into Pulse Chain. They've got access to Pulse Chain itself. They're all doing great work. Phenomenal. My hat is off to the community developers, all of them. And I don't shill any of their stuff. I don't talk about, but I am rooting for every single one of them to do what they say that they're going to do, because they're doing it without Richard. And Richard knows this. He is freaking brilliant. He knows that he can take a step back, and his whole ecosystem is becoming better without him. And that's what he wanted. He used to tell us, hey, man, I gave you Hex. You guys go build it. You guys go promote it. I'm not going to do it. It's not my job to do this. It's your job, you know? And he was right. He was right. It was our job. And that's why I took on that responsibility. It was like, I'm going to go do what he said, and I'm going to go do my own thing. Richard's never thanked me for doing what I do. He's never paid me for doing what I do. He's hardly even praised what we've done. And I appreciate that, because he's doing it the right way. He's letting us grow organically. He's letting us get stronger. He's not cutting the cocoon for us. He's letting us break out of it and spread our wings. And I think that is the brilliance of Richard. He's like, my freaking plan is masterful, because all of these people are stronger without me, and struggling and fighting all the FUD and fighting the SEC and fighting all the powers that be. And they're still here, and they're still doing it, and they're building better things than the whole crypto space is built. Vitalik couldn't do what Richard did. You know, Mashinsky couldn't do what Richard did. None of those people out there could do what Richard did. And in fact, when I find it funny that some of these people were on stream with Richard telling him he was going to go to prison, and then weeks later they end up in a picture next to him in his Gucci, and they're in an orange jumpsuit. So it just proves, you know, the tactician that he is, and what he's doing to this community is allowing us to spread our wings and be stronger because of it.
Look, I don't think any of that can be understated, because I always say that one of the tenets of a good teacher, and Richard is that to a lot of people, is that a good teacher or a good mentor creates independence in the people that he teaches, right? The people that he takes under his wing. And like you said, that's exactly what he's done. He has given the community the tools in order to become independent, right?
Yep.
He gave you he gave you Pulse Chain. He gave you a platform where you can build and you can create the world that you want to create, right? If you don't like what's happening in the centralized aspects of crypto, then here's a place where you can build something that is the complete antithesis to that, right? And that's exactly what Richard is doing. And so I think you hit it right on the head, RG. I think that's exactly what he wants to do, and I think that's like everything that's happening right now is falling exactly into his plans, right? Like you're saying, he's playing 4D chess, and if Gary and the SEC think that this is the type of guy that they can push around and that they'll just settle out of court because they don't have the cojones or the capital to fight them, right? Because a lot of people get discouraged, right? A lot of these companies, when you see Ripple go through a 3-year lawsuit paying $100 million in legal fees, and then the SEC comes after you and your valuation is only like a 10 million, yeah, you're gonna pay a few million in fees in order so that they get away. I think they're barking up the wrong tree when it comes to Richard, man, because he certainly has the balls and he has the capital in order to take them throughout a long fight. I mean, after all, he is a rumored billionaire, right?
Yeah, and this community too. You know, they've come at us all different ways too, and they haven't been able to, come up with the goods or with what they're claiming is going on over here. This is truly a decentralized, organic community, the first of its type, doing the things that it is supposed to do to support a cryptocurrency. That's what we are doing, or a crypto, or an asset, or whatever they want to call it. You know, it's going to end up where we're going to be right about calling our crypto what we've called them, which is just, another commodity. That's all it is. And we're all putting value into it, and we're all making the value of it. We're all the ones doing the marketing. It is the truest organic community out there. And they can't come at us. They can try to come at Richard, but at best, like the things that we've seen out there that are truly decentralized, that truly pass the Howey test and are securities, Hex isn't even close to that. We're not even close to any of those things. And all of those things are still operating. They're still functioning, even though they were deemed security. Ethereum is still operating and functioning. People still hold it, even though they threw the fines and everything else at it and sued and were successful. Even if they're successful, we still win. We still win. And the stuff that they're going after Richard for is not even about the fact that whether or not we're a security or not. They're trying to go after him for misappropriation of funds, which is a joke to me. It's really a joke.
Well, sir, on that note, I would like to thank you once again for joining us here today. RG, can you please tell everybody where they can find you, what things you have coming up, the next location that you guys are going to be at during your Pulse Chain tour? Please go ahead. I think that people want to hear from you.
Yeah. So what's most important is the Pulse Chain tour, because, my passion and my vision, and whether it's me doing it, I may not be the guy up on the stage, talking about these things to the people, but it's important that we understand that a crypto community sells the product by telling the story, by telling the success, by telling of what it can do for people face to face. It's one thing all of us doing it 2D. We need to build face-to-face community members that are strong, that are trustworthy, that understand everybody's plight, that can get out there and speak with passion and compassion for everybody who's out there suffering. The working guy that's getting stiffed by the system, whose productivity is hockey sticking, but his value is going down and down and down because the companies won't pay him. They'll give him overtime, but they won't give him more pay. That's what we're looking at right now. And Hex fixes this. So we got to get out there in front of people. We got to fill up stadiums. And I know some people give me shit about it, but I'm going to stick to my guns on this. We're just filling up hotel rooms right now. But one of these days I envision us, and like I said, whether it's me or not, I don't know, but it's going to be stadiums filled with people wanting to know about what this product is and what it can do for them and what it does for money and what it can do for the world. And until that's done, I'm not going to stop. So go to pulsechaintour.com. this weekend coming up, not this weekend, but the next weekend coming up, we are going to Austin to have a party, a meetup party where we're all going to get together. There's going to be all kinds of infamous Hexicans there. It's at CZ's place in Dallas. So you can go to pulsechaintour.com and get your tickets for that. And then in a couple of weeks right after that, you'll see the dates on pulsechaintour.com for Austin. Austin is going to be our next big event where we're going to go speak. And you'll have Hexicans there. You'll have me giving this talk about, the history of crypto, the history of Bitcoin and Ethereum and Hex and what it means. And then we'll have some speakers talking in depth about the Richard Hart ecosystem there. And then our next to last event is going to be in Arizona this year. And then we go to Los Angeles. Now, in between Los Angeles and New Year's, there may be a big event in Vegas that we're trying to plan. But we're trying to find the right dates for it. So there may be this big badass meetup in Vegas, and who knows, might end up there. But like I said, the last two events are Austin, Arizona, and then boom, we're getting on a cruise out of LA for the Hex birthday, December 2nd. For those of you who want, there's still tickets to the cruise. We're going to cruise out of LA, go down the coast, go to Cabo. We're going to sit in Cabo for 2 days on the boat and just party in Cabo for 2 days, and then back up the coast, hang out in San Diego for, a hangover relaxation day. And then boom, back up to LA, 6-night cruise. Badass. Going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be on the second, around the second, Hex's birthday. I think actually the date we take off is maybe the 3rd. SJ will correct me. But I gotta give props to SJ and Black Hexagon for all the work that they do out on the tour. SJ's out there driving the tour bus, going all around the country on her own, just freaking a warrior, putting up posters, putting up stickers, onboarding people in gas stations. I mean, what a freaking example of a true Hexagon doing the work. She's out there kicking it. And I cannot say enough about Black Hexagon, the organizer of all organizers. She has put together this tour to where we know that the model that she has built here can actually move into stadiums. She's scaled it to where all she has to do is plug and play. More people we get, the more she can handle. She can take care of all of it. So come hang out with us. Get on a tour event, VIP tickets. You get to come hang out with us and have dinner afterwards. All catered to take care of you. It's a good time. Oh, 1st to the 7th. So that's the trip in on the cruise. And then, of course, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Discourse Syndicate, where you can look at all the history of Hex and all the OGs building, their own streams and uncovering and discovering what Hex and T-shares. We even had Dev Kyle on when Dev Kyle was still around. He was there teaching us about T-shares and what they are. So if you don't understand that, you can go back and see the episodes where he was in. And of course on Twitter, I'm the Captain RG3, and you can hit me there, Instagram, TikToks, the whole thing. That's where we're at. The Captain RG3.
It's certainly one way to talk the talk, but here's a man who certainly does walk the walk, right? Because not only is he talking about this stuff on YouTube, he's out there, boots on the ground, interacting with people in person. And there's probably no better way to judge somebody's character than meeting them in person, interacting with them to see if exactly they are, they're exactly the type of person that they purport to themselves to be online. And I think RG and Black Hexagon and Wild SJ, what they're doing with the Pulse Chain Tour is exactly that. Like you said, if you can see it for your own eyes, right? Everything that's ever been done about Hex on YouTube, you can find on Discourse Syndicate. You can come to your own conclusions. You're going to hear a lot of you guys know that we're fans of Hex and RH here, but you're going to hear a lot of people in this space who talk negatively about them. I encourage you, go watch RH's videos, go watch the videos that RG has on his channel, Discourse Syndicate, and all the other content creators, and come to your own conclusions. See exactly what this community has for you, because it has a lot to offer if you're willing to come into it with an open mind and really do your own work and researching it.
And one of the cool things about those old streams is Richard Hart is in some of those. He would come on the panels and speak with Hexicans that were asking questions at the time about what was going on. And so there's a lot of really valuable information back there. Not only just Richard Hart streams, but Discourse Syndicate has streams where Richard used to just pop on with us, or he'd get in the chat room and answer questions and stuff. So There's a lot of good old stuff there. You know, you don't have Richard now. Go back and look at that old stuff in Discourse Syndicate. It's there.
Yeah. And here's the thing, right? If you're a naysayer, you might end up like RG. In the beginning, he didn't really think too much of Richard, dismissed him. But once he actually sat down and looked at what the man has to say, it changed his mind real quick. So, yeah. Well, once again, Cap, thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate you to spend some of your time with us. To those of you in the chat who will be watching us on the replay, thank you once again for giving us some of your time. We know it's your most valuable asset. You can find all of our socials down in the description below. And until next time, we will see you. Thanks again for joining us, guys.